Curtis, the famous saying in surfing? Who is the world's best surfer?
No idea.
The one having the most fun.
That's it. Episode 1108. Milton and Michael Willis, the 100-foot wave and the surfer's way.
You're listening to the Adventure Sports Podcast. We talk with adventurers from around the globe to bring you the inspiration and motivation you need to get started in the outdoors or to keep you moving if you're already there. Now here's your host, Kurt Linville.
Hi friends, welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast. Today we're going to talk with Milton and Michael Willis, who have been just legendary in the surfing world. And we're going to talk about big wave surfing. We're going to talk about surfing safety. We're going to talk about board shaping. We're going to talk about why surf, what it can do for you, what it can do for others. If you know surfing, you already know Milton and Michael. We're glad to have them with us today. Welcome to the program, guys.
Thank you for having us, Curtis. I'm Milton.
Milton and?
Twin brother Michael.
So which one of
everybody.
you is the big brother now and which one's the younger brother?
I'm the first
Milton
born.
is number one.
Yeah, I'm number one.
And I'm the younger brother, number two.
By how many minutes?
By 2 minutes.
By 2 minutes. That's fantastic. That's kind of fun to say. My sister and I were 2.5 years apart, but I'm her little brother and she's my little sister because I outgrew her, of course. So anyway, all fun. Milton and Michael, you guys grew up in California but ended up in Hawaii, right? And surfing was the thing. Take us all the way back to the beginning. When you first started surfing, how old were you and how did you get into it?
We started at the same time. Michael rode the first wave, and he goes, "Milton, you gotta try this." Wow! And we were 6 years old. Yeah, and so we're 69
Nice.
now. So and definitely surf to 100 is the goal, and maybe beyond. If we're lucky. But so to answer that question and field that one, 6 years old.
6 years old, and was that in California?
Curtis, that was in Solana Beach at a little beach break they called Pillbox. And the name came because they had a military pillbox up there watching for the Japanese that might invade.
Oh,
And it was still
okay.
there. And it was back before Solana Beach was on the map as a real kind of a popular destination.
Very cool. So that was, 63 years ago. So, Michael, this one's for you. Just trying to get the backstory. You guys got started early, obviously. But how did it become the thing that shaped a lifetime for both of you? So, Michael, what happened after you first surfed?
My experience was very gentle and amazing. I started in the smallest wave in the entire world with a friend of mine from a young kid who had a balsa wood board. Started on a balsa wood board. He goes, "My brother's gone. We can get his board. We can go take this out. Let's go. I'll show you." And we went at Pillbox where Milton had told you. And I was so thrilled on that one ride because a little light kid on this big boat of a board, it was a no-brainer. I was going to ace it. And the next day I go, "Milton, you got to try this." And then I didn't think about it too much. But Milton later on goes, "Michael, I got Dad talked in. We're getting boards. We're going to," and then later on we went from whitewater to the swells, the bigger
Yes.
waves. Milton came in and got me. He goes, "Michael, what are you doing in here? You're on repeat. You just keep riding these whitewaters. Come out here." So finally I came out there. And then as we were actually raised in California. We were raised in California, Solana Beach, but we grew up in Hawaii. When Milton was 17, again, he goes, "Michael, we had some influencers in California who had inspired us. Their lives, they were so charismatic, these older surfers, and so full of life and adventure. They had encouraged us to ride bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger waves. And I had never thought about it. I didn't think about continuing surfing. I didn't think about riding bigger waves. But Milton at 17 took off with a backpack and another friend. He had encouraged me. And he started riding Sunset Beach in Hawaii. So we really were raised in California and grew up in Hawaii. And I followed Milton a little later, but so that's how I stuck to it, was my brother and the friends around I love surfing, but mostly I love surfing, but humanity first and people first. And so for me, whether it's climbing in Joshua Tree, whether it's doing mile-long swims, whether it's running from Big Sur all the way to Carmel, which we do, it's about people. So surfing for
Right.
me it's a beautiful sport. I love it. It's an individual, selfish sport, but it's about people. And that's what
You
keeps me
know,
going is the aloha, seeing the people, the smiles on their faces. And surfing is a very, you can't ride a wave and not have a smile. It's the same as, rock climbing. I see some of those guys. That's the one thing I don't do because their faces aren't always smiling. Sometimes it's like, like dangerous. And surfing, there's always a smile.
oh, that's great. I think of so many things all at once as you start saying that. One thing I'd like to highlight is that people do adventure sports for so many different reasons. And there are a few dark reasons that people can get involved in things, but it's more often than not a very good, positive reason. And one of the best ones is what you just said, Michael. It's about the people. And different people, they like to challenge themselves. Some people like to check lists of to-dos that they've been dreaming about doing. Other people want to do something really, really big to benefit some sort of a charity to try to get some sort of
That's good.
traction so that they can make a difference in the world. And some people, it's all about the people. And maybe it's a combination of all the above. But I think of my daughter, if I say, hey, you want to go climb a 14er? Her question is, well, who's going? Because it's not about the mountain. It's about the people.
That's great.
And so I hear you, Michael, when you're talking about it's about the people. And that's one thing that's so wonderful about adventure sports is the way that people have a common interest that they can talk about. It's a great way to be introduced to new people and then to become quickly friends because you're doing something you both love. And I just think that's one of the most positive aspects of adventure sports that's very, very necessary today because of social media and all the things that tend to move us apart from each other physically. We need sports that pull us back together one-on-one or, a dozen people together. Milton, here's a question for you. You've been surfing a long time. How has the surfing scene changed?
Good question. And I would field that with, I'd say, while it appears the same, the community members, the long term, there's been a shift. And when we started surfing, it was pretty much a big guy might come up and punch you. It was just how it was. And it was extremely localized. And you don't go to that guy's beach, even though it was only a mile away. Everybody had their own little beaches, and it was extremely localized and territorial. And it still goes on in isolated events and surfing communities. However, there's been an extreme shift, and surfers like Michael Willis and the above in the community and many of the elders nowadays are trying to share and give back to the community for all the gifts they've had. So instead of discouraging, they actually encourage. And it's a real neat thing in the lineup to when somebody who can easily take that wave and this other person, it's going to be the wave of their life, and you encourage them, go, hey, man, you take this one. It moves somebody to an incredible level, and that gives back, and then the whole lineup shifts. So it's like you said, community. And if you surround yourself with the kind of energy and positivity and optimism that you're seeking, that's what you'll find. Because the truth is, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. You get one guy in the lineup yelling and hitting the water and cursing. Boy, all of a sudden the lineup gets tense. Versus, man, hey, have this wave. There's another wave for me. And usually you give one away. I'll give you an example. We had 2 boards recently we purchased, and we didn't really care for them. And we know a guy who rents boards, and we go, man, this guy could use these boards. And we didn't write him one more time, just gifted that guy those boards, don't want nothing. Just here, boy, he was so lit up with that spirit of giving. And couldn't believe it. In less than a week, a friend called me up and goes, I got these 2 boards. Would you guys like them? They were better boards. That's the community. In other words, well, I gave the guy that wave, which was I wanted it, but man, in my heart, I go, that guy would get the ride of his life. Boom. Usually, believe it or not, you don't do it for this, but wow, better one's there. But so
Yes.
yeah,
You know,
that's it. That's what's changed. The community's changing, and it's getting more into sharing and giving and loving.
I love that. So that's what I wanted to hear.
What Milton said, he goes, one bad apple can spoil the bunch. The other side of that too is one candle can light many flames. One positive attitude can
Yes.
change the whole lineup to everybody's going, let's do aloha. One candle can light many flames.
I like that. Those two sayings need to go together, don't they? That's cool. Michael, this one's for you. Before we hit record here, you were talking about how surfing had a physical impact on your life. It had a spiritual impact on your life. It had a social impact on your life. Tell us about surfing and how it can do those things.
We connect with surfing when we connect with the ocean and outdoors. Outdoor sports are the best sports.
Yes.
The more sunshine we get, the more vitamin D. Sunshine runs our battery. It helps our neuroplasticity. Outdoors is where it's at. So, number one, surfing is an outdoor sport. It takes place in salt water where the negative ions, are the healthiest for a human being to ever be. Salt extracts impurities from the body. All sports outside are healthy sports. But if you can get, like Milton said, surfing now has evolved. Thank goodness for it used to be just mainly guys who were super fit and crazy and wild and wonderful group. But now it's women, older people, younger kids, 6-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 80-year-olds, and all and worldwide. And they're building wave pools worldwide. They're expecting multi-millions of people now to be introduced into surfing. With the advent of wave pools, it turns out surfing may outdistance. Surfing is on fire right now. We're looking at the precursor to a whole world and everybody in one way or another is surfing. When you climb that cliff, you got to have rhythm, flow, focus, timing, faith, all the same attributes that go into surfing go into every single sport. And we're all surfing. So it's only natural that waves now are coming to a place near you in Colorado.
That's fantastic. So you guys have had these experiences thousands of times, and I'm such a novice when it comes to surfing because I'm landlocked here in Colorado. I mean, if you can see the picture behind me, those are my waves. They move kind of slowly, but I still try to get on them. But
mountains.
yes,
They're mountains.
They're mountains.
Those are mountains. We call big waves mountains.
Oh, there you go. I went to Tofino on vacation several years ago, and I rented a 9-foot soft top because I thought, I'm going to learn how to do this because I had only body surfed and things prior to that. And I just got worked. I was beat to pieces by this 9-foot board that you can't hardly not catch a wave with, yet I was still struggling. And I watched so many people that were doing so much better. But I saw a lot of people that were fighting the water, it almost felt like, to catch a wave. And then I saw the thing that I was like, oh, that's different. There was a gal who stood up on a small wave effortlessly. She didn't fight. She was like floating above the board. And she just had decided it was time to go in, I guess. But without any effort, without any evidence that she was even trying. She just walked on the water until she stepped off the board in the white foam 2 inches deep on the sand and picked up her board and walked away. And I thought, wait a minute, something's going on here. How was she able to effortlessly and perfectly, in silence and with respect, it seemed, just like a goddess, walk to the beach on her board? And everybody else is out there thrashing and fighting, and you know what I'm saying? What did I witness there? Milton, can you fill us in on that?
Well, what you witnessed was, and it's a beautiful thing, we used to teach surfing. And one of our questions to our students, which you were a student, she was a teacher, was, what's more important, desire or knowledge? You have the desire. You're trying as hard as you can.
Yeah.
She had the secret. She had the power and she had the knowledge. And really, so for
Right.
her, it was effortless because she had struggled and gone through just like the cocoon. And when the caterpillar has to do that, go through that to be a butterfly, which you were going through, she'd already gone
Yes.
through that process. So when we taught surfing, and for 20 years we taught surfing, that's one of the ways we paid for our lifestyle. And our record with TripAdvisor, a plug for them, was 100%. In 20 years, every
Nice.
person who ever went with us, and from the military to after-school programs to elderly. So don't let anyone tell you that, oh, you're too old to try surfing. You can't do it. Oh, you're too overweight. Oh, you're whatever, that you can't do it. And we proved that anyone on earth who, even if you don't want to do it, but you have to, here's the recipe. And man, I didn't want to do it, but I could do it effortlessly. So realistically, it comes down to the recipe. So what you saw, I actually have the recipe. And if I was on that beach, I would have had you riding a wave, the same exact wave right there.
Nice.
You saw how she did it. I'd tell you how, I'd break it down for you in steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. You know how I can teach 1,000 people to surf by myself? Break it down into groups and appoint leaders and share that information. So anyway, that's what you witnessed was she had the experience. People, here's the problem with the surfing industry regulation, the surfing lessons. You're a genuine guy. You bring your family. You want to take a surfing lesson. You're from Colorado.
Yeah.
You got it, like this. You want to make an experience of a lifetime for your family. You get there. The surfing instructor's cute, blonde hair, he's got braces, perfect looking kid. Well, that guy's looking good. Daughter's stoked. Everybody's happy. Only problem is that kid really doesn't know how to teach surfing. And he'll tell you, oh, you're too old, you're overweight. It was you guys. You couldn't do it. But hey, we had fun. So realistically, wow, there's no criteria. To cut hair, you need a license. You got to take a test. To be a lawyer, to be a doctor, to be any kind of professional that you're going to instruct, there needs to be some qualifications. And that brings us around to the NOAA and USLA and life saving and our mission and giving back for all the gifts we've had is to be able to save lives just by sharing the information, how to surf, how to survive in the ocean. You don't need to be afraid. The only spookiness in the ocean is the panic and fear. Nothing to fear. Do you need to fear getting on the freeway going north? No, you just get on the freeway going north. Hey, if you're going south, don't get on the freeway going north. That kind of information. Wow.
It makes a huge difference. You guys started an educational program on how to save lives in relation to riptides. You can explain this better than I can, but just for the listeners, the idea is that there's a lot of water going up on a beach, and eventually it has to go back out again. And as it does, it's going contrary to the waves. And if you get caught in these, they can try to take you further out than you may want to go. And you guys describe this effect and what it is that you're promoting so that people can be safe.
NOAA, drowning is a big, big problem. And so they tell you, stay on the beach if you don't understand. But bottom line, surfers, a rip current is your best friend. Surfers love them. Love them. They take the rip current out. You don't even have to paddle. You just get in it. It takes you out. You paddle over to the waves and you ride them to the shore. It's just wonderful. It's how the surfers do it. So our message is, one, how to see a rip current. You get to the beach, it's invisible to you. You don't see it. Wow, man, I can't see it. And then I'll show you how to see the invisible. Look, you look over. If there's no waves, there's no rip current. On a lake, if it's blowing wind and there's waves, there's a rip current. In fact, they just did rescue 2 people from the rip current in the lake. I read about it in my little news feed. But so how do you spot a rip current? You go down the beach, you see all the white water of the wave. Where you don't see white water, like a missing tooth, that's the rip current. Sucks you right out through that little opening and takes you out. That's so already you know how to identify it. There you go. Just look for the openings. If you want to go to the shore, go to the wave. If you want to get out, look for those little openings. So that's identification. Now, There's a guy named Dr. Jamie McMahon from the Monterey Bay Institute of Oceanography. He did
Okay.
He got a $5 million grant to study rip currents. And he says it's more dangerous to tell somebody swim parallel than it is just to let it take you.
Really?
Yeah. And so, and so NOAA included that in their latest, when they updated their policies. They included it to sometimes you can let it take you. Well, the Willis brothers say, hey, if you let it take you, you might just end up a mile out there. They don't come back to the shore. And the waves are a lot bigger out there than they are closer to the shore. So our philosophy is as soon as you notice you're in a rip current, you don't want to be in it, swim with the current in the direction to the nearest waves. They'll pull you to the shore. And now NOAA has included that in their latest updates. So we're real proud of that.
Okay, so let's highlight that again. What you're saying is that if you stay in the rip current, it can take you too far out. If you fight it, you're not going to get where you want to be. But if you look for the waves, you're looking for the white, and you go with the current toward the waves, that's the least effort and the fastest way to get out of the rip current. Did I get it right, Michael? Is that it?
Yes, that's the only way to get out of a rip current. Waves go in, rip currents go out. Outside of a helicopter or a boat or a jet ski, the only way to escape a rip current is the waves.
Right.
The only way to avoid a rip current, and your listeners are going to love this, and this is what they're going to want to press replay, listen to it 3 times, and educate their children and their family, is to avoid rip currents, wade, play, or swim in front of waves, and they'll just keep pushing you back. And then if you find that somehow you weren't paying attention and you got swept out a little bit, look for the waves and calmly, whatever you've got to do, just drift over to the waves and they'll push you right back in. So Milton actually had taught me, and he had learned from an esteemed Hawaiian lifeguard, an iconic, legendary lifeguard named Eddie Aikau in Hawaii when Milton was 17. And Eddie had seen Milton getting ready to go out with no leash, a young kid from, all by himself to these giant waves. And Eddie, the only lifeguard, Aikau, iconic figure in surfing, told Milton, I'm the only lifeguard here. And this is how it works. Blue out, white in. Blue out meant the deep water's blue and there's no white water waves. So that's going to take you out. And then the white water will bring you in. And Eddie told Milton, no one's going to be here for you. So you remember this. Blue out, white in. And now we call it rips out, waves in. Because, and we've been educated. Milton worked for years lobbying NOAA to update their ocean current policies to the surfer's way, which is to understand waves. And finally they did. And so now internationally, you'll see signs where people are actually standing in front of the wave and people are swimming to the waves. And that's due to Milton. I like to say the Willis brothers. And yes, I've put in my time to making videos, speaking in front of audience, on and on and on. But Milton really spearheaded that water safety program. And he was the one who updated policy for NOAA.
Wow. Well, guys, thank you for your contributions. I know that lives have been saved because of that, and more maybe because you're sharing that again here. I mean, in Colorado, we never hear that, right? There's no reason to. We have our other things.
There's a lot of people from Colorado here in Malibu, and we've been up and down the coast to Monterey and down to San Diego.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people from Colorado who are actually surfers. I know a few of them.
Yeah.
And they're good surfers, and they go skiing in Colorado in the winter. In the summertime, they come out here. And there's a lot of families that want to come visit the coast. And as Milton said, rip currents can be in rivers, not rivers, but lakes.
Yeah.
They can be, and so whether you only make it to the beach one time in your life or you want to go every year, it's good to know. Everybody should know waves go in, rip currents go out. To be safe, swim in front of waves, and God forbid you ever get caught in a rip current, go to the waves and get washed in.
Well, that's awesome. So, on a related note, Milton, this is going to be a question for you. I don't want to step on any toes and I don't want to give any bad advice, but here's what I've noticed when I've been at the beach. They put up the flags now. You know, you've got a green flag, you've got a red flag, and the good waves are not going to be on the green flag day. And so it kind of turns into one of these situations where, hey, I wanted to go play in the big waves, I wanted to surf, I wanted to do these things, and they're telling me to stay out of the water, but I appreciate that they're trying to keep people safe. But what do you do? One anecdote that might explain this a little bit. I was on a beach in a place where they had lifeguards, and they just weren't letting anybody go anywhere and do anything. And I thought, well, but what about the people that have really good skills in the water and that could do a little bit more? I mean, it almost seems to me like there's a conflict between being overly safe and allowing people with the skills to go ahead and access the water. What can you address that?
I think that certain situations, the authorities know what they're doing, and unfortunately, because you look at the beach and you can kind of judge the crowd in terms of there's a lot of people that could get in trouble on this day, and you made the judgment.
Yeah.
I can't second guess a person's judgment on that.
Right.
What you're describing is basically kind of isolated. It doesn't happen every day. In Hawaii, they get some days that are giant, and they tell the tourists, hey, stay back off the beach. And that's deadly stuff. So I'd have to be there to see those waves to even know if that guy. I wouldn't second guess the captain or the lieutenant if they said beach closed. That's just how it is.
Well, that's wise, and I appreciate that.
They got the experience. Wow, I can do that. Hey, whoa, you can't. And they know it. They've been through it. I've seen it. I've asked guys before, hey, when we taught surfing, if I take you out there, can you be cool? And they're cool until they get in the situation. One wave breaks over them, they start panicking. Oh God.
Oh yeah.
I thought you said you could handle this, man. Come on, we're going to shore. You know, you got to take people. Sometimes you got to make the executive call. You look at this guy, he wants to ride a 20-foot wave, and he's eager beaver, but you know, man, the guy doesn't belong out there. So it's kind of responsible to say, look, you don't belong out there right now, and maybe I'm making the wrong judgment call, but that's the call.
I'd like to add one more point to what Milton's saying. And Milton has told me this before. Yes, Curtis, you're right. There's a conflict. Because now what if I've got the skills? So I'm going, look, I've got the skills. Those guys don't. You're right, but don't hold me back. But Milton had a point one time when he told me, Michael, do you realize if you go out there, all these other guys are going to go, look, he's out there. Right. That guy's out there. They don't know if you've got they're going. So you have to. The lifeguards have to come to a point when it gets to where. So Milton schooled me up, and he was right. You know, you have to say nobody can go because sometimes these other guys are going, look, that guy's out there, and then they got to deal with that. Yeah, it's better safety for all than the one champion gets to, he lost his chance, but at least we didn't lose any lives.
Amen.
Good answers, gentlemen. I appreciate that very much. You know what? You're talking about slightly bigger waves, and we're going to talk about the really big waves here next. But I wanted to ask, what is your recommendation when you get worked, a wave is crashing on your back, and it pushes you to the bottom, and you're pinned down for a little bit? People that have never had that experience, that could be pretty terrifying. So what do you do? Milton.
Oh, thank you. That's why I raised my hand. We used to teach this. This is fantastic. There's no such thing as an undertow. Nothing pulls people under the water. What it is the wave breaks over you, and that feeling of I'm pinned down. In surfing, there's a expression. It's called the ABCs of surfing. Always be cool. So the first thing you do when a wave breaks over you is, if it's a 3 feet wave, well, you're 3 feet under the water. That's not particularly deep. You could stand up. But the point is, always be cool. Keep your mind relaxed. Stay calm and relaxed. And if you have trouble, you're starting to exaggerate and the wave been over you, count to yourself 1,001, 1,002. And you can't stay under the water. We're all buoyant. We all pop right back up. Go try to a pool. Toss a quarter in the pool and go try to dive down there and get it. Little kids, they can't. They float back up.
Yeah.
So the thing is, just relax. Stay relaxed. Always be cool.
Because the wave is going to move on, and then you come up, right?
It rolls right over you, and that's it. That's and it's the same for the big ones. They don't really hold you under forever. The wave rolls over you, and you come up. Big wave surfing's a lot safer than people think. Rolls over you.
Well, I've never played in really big waves. I've been in 6-7 foot waves.
You got to work yourself up to it, Curtis. Like rock climbing. Just like rock climbing. Fred Van Dyke, a legendary big wave pioneer who led the way for us. Later on in his life, he started becoming a rock climber. He said there's no exhilaration on earth like that. It was incredible. Which, for big wave surfer to say rock climbing was something that's just, he'd never felt that kind of exhilaration before. It moved me. It didn't get me to want to be a rock climber any more than the skydiver.
Well, there's something to be said for trying the new sport, the novel sport, what you've not done before. You know, once you're very good at something and accustomed to it, then it's not that it loses its thrill, it's that it becomes like an old friend instead of the new thing, and that's great. But sometimes trying something new can be really exhilarating. So I get it. For me, surfing would be very, very exhilarating right now. And let's talk about, okay, Michael, I want to ask you this question. You hear people talking about every seventh wave, or you get the feel for the rhythm of the water, or you just get a sense that this is going to be the one. You know what I mean? All that kind of almost intuition about the ocean and what it's doing. And people like to translate that into a spiritual experience. What of that is mumbo jumbo, and what of that is right on?
Well, people also like the physical experience. So, you know, it's the timing of the ocean. It's corporal in a way. So the two, you're conflating the two, spiritual and physicality, because what you're explaining is more of a physical. You know, when you get into that rhythm of the sea, it's not guesswork or mumbo jumbo. It's you watch the interval of the waves,
right?
You know, and it's mathematical. You see, okay, and then you're out there, and they're not coming in sequences of 7. They're coming in sequences of 3, or they're coming in sequences of 15, or they're and you through experience more than intuition, but through experience and physical experience. It's very physical. Surfing's as all sports are. That's what we're moving our bodies. And then there are those which everybody translates that physical into their spiritual. You know, the 3 levels of the mind, the sub, and the alphabet. So you translate that physical into the spiritual, and I suspect it's a personal experience for everyone. I can tell you this, when people ride a wave, including myself, many times right after that experience, you cannot remember exactly the complete totality of what you just did.
Wow.
Because you're so into the moment. From a beginner to an experienced surfer, you're so into the moment. So if we want to call that spiritual, that awakening, if you can transcend that to your life and your everyday life, be surfing. As I say, everyone's surfing in one way or another, and we're finding out that the universe is a pulse. It's a wave. So all our activities are surfing. So it's maybe we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, and it doesn't have to be translated as much as experienced.
Okay. You know, there's something that I've started realizing in my own life, gentlemen, and that is that for instance, I can watch a storm sweeping across a valley, and I can say things like, well, I know what makes storms and why these monsoons happen, and I know why the rain comes down and what makes the water cycle, and I can see that, you know, as the sun was backlighting that cloud, I know why it makes that silver lining, and I can go through all the physics, or I can just experience it. And as I experience it, it might impact me on a different level, and it could impact everybody differently. But there's something about realizing
Oh, absolutely.
it's okay to be in awe of what you're experiencing. It's okay to look at something and say, I don't have to know.
That's the plan. That's the goal, to be in awe. The purpose of living is to live. It's to live. The purpose of living is to live. The goal is to be in awe. So when you step into that water, when you see that mountain, and then you become one with the mountain. When you're climbing that mountain, when you become one with the wave, you don't conquer the wave, you become one with the wave. You don't conquer that mountain, you become one with that mountain. That's the goal, is to be in awe. And that is the highest spiritual praise I suspect anyone can do, is to be in awe. I'm in awe.
That's cool. Well, let's talk about the big waves now. I know that our listeners are going to want to know what it was like. Both of you were instrumental in, what do you call it? Tow in to catch big waves, where you use a jet ski or something to get you out there so you can catch a wave that otherwise might not be catchable. You were instrumental in that, and then you went out on the big day, and your book is entitled 100-Foot Wave. I can't even fathom that. Tell us how you developed into doing bigger and bigger waves, and then what is it like to ride the monsters? Milton, will you start?
It's a combination. One, you have to be present. That's the beautiful thing about it, is you're present. You're not thinking about tomorrow. You're not thinking about yesterday. You have to be in the present moment. It's really a powerful situation. And so you also need to stay relaxed, and timing figures into it. When you get into that situation, your heart starts racing and your thoughts start going. You have to slow down. Timing, just like in beginning surfing. When you very first start surfing, you want to get up quick, but you never caught the wave. So in beginning surfing, you got to slow down. The waves aren't moving that fast. Same for giant wave surfing. You know what you're dealing with. You work yourself up. Fear is lack of preparation. So as long as you're prepared, if you're not prepared, man, don't go out there. But if we've trained on a daily basis, and our minds were focused, and we knew what we were looking forward to. And one day, the waves, it was almost like a premonition. We didn't know why we were training and working out and practicing these new techniques and all this. And one day, the Holy Grail, the Devil's Garden, reared its head. And we had the opportunity to go where no man or woman or anyone on earth had ever gone. It was an incredible experience, but we felt prepared. So the fear wasn't an aspect. However, you do in those situations, you have to have like meditation or lotus. You work your way. You can't do a lotus.
Respect.
Yeah, and respect, ultimate respect for the sea. And the smallest wave has the power of the whole ocean behind it. So you got the respect starts at the beginning. Respect the ocean. Respect the sea. Me lama kekai.
Well, what was it physically? Go ahead,
there's
Michael.
There's a documentary. Thank you, Curtis, and excuse me. There's a Emmy-nominated documentary out now, HBO, the one In Search of the 100-Foot Wave, and it's really good. And it stars Garrett McNamara. We worked with Garrett McNamara when he was young. We're in his new book, or I don't know if it's his new book, but anyhow, and it's all about these guys getting together, searching for the 100-foot wave. Milton and I were never searching for a 100-foot wave. We weren't searching for a 50-foot wave. We weren't searching. We were just out there doing. And the truth of the matter is, waves of this magnitude, when we did it, it was called a Code Black. That was Hawaii's official Code Black. It's never been another Code Black in Hawaii issued after that. And that meant it's illegal to essentially go surfing. Uh-oh. We didn't know the Code Black was on because we launched on the tip of the island, on the northern tip of the island, and they had blocked off all the beaches, and it was called Code Black, Condition Black, illegal to go surfing. And but it's a very nice documentary, but they keep looking for these 100-foot waves. But what everybody has to understand, there has to be a superstorm. There has to be a superstorm that's once in 100 years. I mean, 100-foot waves plus, 100-foot waves plus, don't, they're, it's, it's, it's a, it doesn't happen every year. It doesn't
No.
happen every decade.
Once in a lifetime, maybe.
You know, I wouldn't spend. Maybe I wouldn't spend my life in search of a 100-foot wave. It's a great documentary, but we didn't spend our lives in search. It just happened, and as Milton said, we'd been preparing. We didn't know what we were preparing for, and that's what he meant. We weren't searching. We were planning to ride the 100-foot wave. We were just into the art of riding giant waves and communing with nature and becoming one with that power. It was more of a relationship with a higher power that was inside matching what was outside, and fusing, becoming harmonious. It wasn't an outward, we're going to get this giant wave, but it just so happened that we did. And they say it's that January 28th, 1998 is the largest waves ever, definitely ridden in the 20th century, and so far to date in the 21st century. And an interesting thing, and I know I'm being long-winded, but on that day, Shane Horan, the number 2, he world champion, he wanted Milton to be his tow driver. And oh boy, that Shane. I go, no, I became Milton's driver. And we started out at this place called Log Cabins, which Google calls it 85 feet. And this wonderful, one of my best friends, Kim Bradshaw, I gave him this wave that is now iconic. He'll tell you I gave him the wave that is the face of this swell that we rode, and he never thanked me, really. Lunch, Ken. But anyhow, Milton and I later on, other surfers saw Milton and me do it, including Ken and Shane and other guys. They came out and followed us, and Log Cabins, now they became very competitive. Cameras, helicopter. We went out there, nobody was there.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, other surfers go, it's possible. They had canceled the Eddie Aikau Big Wave Contest. Every big wave surfer was sitting on the beach. And then Milton and I went out stealth. And then we were riding waves. All of a sudden, there was, all these other surfers around us, helicopters. It was incredible, and it became very competitive. And so Milton and I cut out and head north. And that's when we discovered the Devil's Garden, which was twice the size of Log Cabins. And Nathan Fletcher, Robbie Page, Robbie Page said it, the Pipeline Master winner said it. He called it over 115 feet and said it's the largest waves he's ever seen in his entire 40 years of professional surfing.
Right.
And so it was quite a milestone in surfing. And right after that, giant wave surfing, all of a sudden, everybody around the world was getting a jet ski and chasing 100-foot waves. But there's no need to chase 100-foot waves. You can get the same joy and experience from a 20-foot wave. Paddle into a 20-foot wave. Basically, you can get the same joy on a 1-foot wave. Milton said earlier, even the smallest wave has the power of the entire ocean behind it. And it's that respect of that 1-foot wave that you have to respect nature.
Yeah.
The mountain. If the mountain doesn't move, it all starts with respect. So we weren't chasing. It found us. It called us. 100-foot waves called us. And we answered the call. And I'm so glad I got to participate in that. It's a life-changing endeavor because if I, Michael Klebert Willis, and my twin brother, Milton Bradley Willis, two very regular guys, can do it, anybody else can do it. They can climb the mountain that nobody said could be climbed. They can take that trek that nobody said could be trekked. They can, anything that someone said was impossible, if you want to do it, it's possible. You can do it. It calls you. Answer the call.
Oh, that's beautiful. I need to let that soak in for just a minute.
Yes. I would like to add, and I know I'm long-winded, I had a friend named Mark Fu. He's still my friend, but he passed. One of the greatest big wave surfers that ever lived. He said, I'm chasing the thrill. It's big wave surfing. He goes, to get the ultimate thrill, be prepared to die. I don't remember his exact quote right this second. See, to get the ultimate thrill, You have to be prepared to pay the ultimate price
Yeah.
with your life.
Mm.
And I never liked that. And Mark eventually passed on riding big waves at Mavericks. But to get the ultimate thrill, you have to pay the ultimate price with your life. It's not in death, as in death, Mark. It's as in living. Put your whole passion into it. Plan on living. Don't take unnecessary risks. There is a risk worth the reward. There's no thrill that is worth risking a life for. That's chasing thrills is not worth a risk. We do this because you're passionate and because you're called and it's in you. It's not because, it's a death-defying thing. Whatever it is, climbing that mountain, making that track, do it because of love and wanting to live and live to the fullest.
Oh, man. Good word. Good word. I do mountaineering. I haven't done much surfing at all, but there's a parallel that there are people that want to talk about the big climb or the big wall or the big this or the big that or how many they've done and all these sorts of things. And I'm not criticizing people for having goals. I think that's awesome. But people ask me, how many mountains have you climbed? And I don't know. It's because I climb for the joy of climbing. I don't even climb for the summit. I love the summit, but that's not why I climb, right? I climb because I love to be in nature with people I love. I love to experience the world in that way.
Curtis, the famous saying in surfing, who is the world's best surfer?
No idea.
The one having the most fun.
That's
so
it.
The one having the most fun. So you may be the best climber in the world because you're not climbing to set a world record. You're not climbing to go prove something to yourself. You're climbing for pure joy and passion. And thus makes you possibly the best climber in the world.
Well, I will say it makes me someone who enjoys it. It makes me someone who really enjoys it.
The best surfer in the world is the one having the most fun.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that was since I was a kid. That's what they said.
That's fun.
I say.
Well, Milton, will you describe, just as if we were, a little lizard on your shoulder, will you describe what it was like to drop into a really big wave? What does it feel like to be that high above the trough and to feel yourself accelerating as you go shooting down the face of something like that? What goes through your mind and through your heart?
Here comes the wave. Timing goes through my mind and positioning. And there's no time to... Once you learn waves and you study waves, they have certain lines, they call it, and surfers know about the line. You take the high line. So if it's extremely steep and big, where you drop in on the wave, you need to be at the very top.
Okay.
It's a rush taking that drop. That's the thing. It's like skiing on a mountain and just speeding straight down that hill. Wow. But then your timing, you have to know when to come off that bottom. But again, it's a personal experience. You could ride for your first day. I always love the joy of a first-time surfer, seeing them do it. I did this, that feeling, that rush. That's what I enjoyed. And so for me, and time to reflect on all this stuff that we've done, it gives you a little platform where people are paying attention to you. If I was to say what I got out of it was, hey, man, achieve your dream. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. You can do whatever you want to do, and it's mainly your own personal competition with yourself. And if, man, I climbed a little bit higher than I did yesterday, that's me. And maybe you climbed 5 times what I did, but you know what? I did good for me, and that's good enough for me. I'm happy with that. So that's my approach to it, is if you're going to look at me, I'm going to say, hey, man, look at yourself and achieve your dream. Have a dream. Have a purpose that you're doing something. For myself right now, my goal is to be able to, for my legacy and Michael's legacy, is to give back, and to help educate and make it easy and make that other guy's load and life and path just a little bit easier if they want to.
And inspiring.
And inspiring.
Yeah, good words, gents, good words. So how can people learn more about what you're up to? Go ahead, Michael.
I would recommend everybody get a copy of 100-Foot Wave, the official book, because it uses surfing as the conduit for communication, but inside it talks about our story and in regards to coming from Solana Beach is known for some of the most mediocre waves in the world. And so it's a beautiful story that can be applied and transposed into whatever activities, and hopefully it's inspirational and educational. It talks about the surfer's way of saving lives, which is blue out, white in, Eddie I cow, and
Yep.
rips go out, waves come in. It talks about how we started out in increments, but it's very inspirational. And I think everybody that's read it, that's talked to me, one very seasoned salt surfer, white hair and a mustache, almost in tears, he goes, "You guys, you captured it." And so I
Wow.
hope that it embodies that spirit of rock climbers, of long distance runners, which we have long distance runners all over the world, swimmers, people who go outdoors and push limits.
Yes.
Not necessarily push limits, but let's say break limits. And so I would recommend getting a copy of 100 Foot Wave, the official book.
How can we follow you guys? Website, Instagram? What's the best way to follow what you're up to?
Our organization is thinkwaves.org. We have a 501c3, and it's Think Waves. And Think Waves is what it's all about in every area. But anyhow, that's that's that.
Well, our conversation today, we were talking about surfing, but you made it more universal. You made it into what it means to be human and what it means to stretch ourselves and to accomplish the bigger goals and to make life more meaningful and more fulfilling and to help others along the way, to shine your light, and that's a beautiful thing. And I thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing with us what it was like to have a lifetime of surfing, but to do some of the really amazing things that, most of us probably won't get the chance to try, but we appreciate it that you're willing to share it with us. Gentlemen, we're out of time, but thank you very much. So there's Think Waves, there's the 100 Foot Wave, Milton and Michael Willis. Take care, brothers.
We're stronger together.
Blessings and respect.